June 19, 2024, News Report 1. The U.S. State Department announced on June 18 that it will sell attack drones worth a total of $360 million to Taiwan. The sale includes 291 sets of anti-armor attack drones, valued at $300 million, which are primarily used to combat armored targets such as tanks and armored vehicles. In addition, there are 720 spring knife suicide drones, valued at $60 million. Both types of drones have been used in the Ukrainian battlefield. The spring knife 350 suicide drone weighs 1.8 kilograms and can be carried by a single soldier, deploying in 2 minutes. The drone has a flight time of 20 minutes and is mainly used for tactical intelligence reconnaissance, while also capable of striking personnel targets at least 20 kilometers away. The Gongxing unmanned aerial vehicle weighs 12 kilograms and can stay airborne for over 4 hours, launchable from land, sea, and air platforms. It performs tasks such as intelligence collection, electronic warfare, reconnaissance of communication equipment, and target positioning, suitable for the Army's anti-armor strike needs. The U.S. sale of drones to Taiwan is part of its regional defense strategy. Earlier, The Washington Post reported that Admiral Papireau, commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, stated that the U.S. plans to use drones and unmanned ships when China invades Taiwan, turning the Taiwan Strait into a unmanned hell, to buy time for U.S. Taiwanese forces to strike back. Although Papireau did not reveal specific details of the implementation, he emphasized that it is feasible. The sale of attack drones to Taiwan marks the first step in implementing this regional defense strategy for the United States. News Report 2. According to the United Morning Post, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim held talks in Malaysia on June 19. China has promised to promote the construction of major projects in Malaysia's East Coast Rail Link and allow Malaysia to export fresh durians to China. The two countries signed 14 cooperation agreements, covering digital economy and green trade cooperation, and extended their partnership for another 5 years. Xinhua news agency reported that both Li Keqiang and Anwar believe that China and ASEAN countries should handle the South China Sea issue independently and properly. In the afternoon of June 19, Li Keqiang met with Malaysian Sultan Ibrahim and then attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the East Coast Rail Link in Selangor. In the evening, Li Keqiang also attended the 50th anniversary celebration of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Malaysia. These series of events showcase the close cooperation and exchanges between China and Malaysia in various fields. News Report 3. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te held a press conference at the Presidential Palace on June 19, 1 month after taking office, announcing the establishment of 3 new committees: the National Climate Change Strategy Committee, the National Defense Resilience Committee, and the Healthy Taiwan Promotion Committee. Lai Ching-te personally serves as the convener of these 3 committees and patiently explained that the purpose of establishing these committees is to address global issues and make Taiwan's strategy a solution for the world, thus making the world embrace Taiwan. Lai Ching-te pointed out that Taiwan is at the forefront of the world's democratic camp, and an advanced supply chain is the key to the next generation of technological development. Today's Taiwan is already the world's Taiwan, and Taiwan's issues should become international issues, and international issues are Taiwan's issues. Therefore, climate change, social resilience, and health promotion are not only global issues of concern but also the 3 major issues affecting the people of Taiwan. Lai Ching-te emphasized that addressing these challenges requires the concerted efforts of the government and the country, cooperation with other countries, and the provision of effective solutions to the world. With the Kuomintang and the Democratic Progressive Party controlling the legislative yuan, Lai Ching-te seeks new breakthroughs by establishing new committees, which is also a strategy. After Lai Ching-te announced the establishment of the 3 committees, Taiwan stocks hit a historical high, with the Taiwan Weighted Index closing at 23,209 points, up nearly 2%. TSMC closed at 981 yuan on June 19, up 4%. News Report 4. On June 19, the Taiwan Legislative Yuan held a meeting where Premier Su Sang-chung explained the reconsideration of the 5 major bills for parliamentary reform. Kuomintang, KMT, Legislative Yuan Caucus convener Fu Kun-chi questioned Su Sang-chung, but the questioning process evolved into a fierce confrontation between Fu Kun-chi and Su Sang-chung. Fu Kun-chi slammed the table and exclaimed, "You are the premier, not a local councillor. You should show humility towards the parliament," and demanded that Lai Ching-te, Su Sang-chung, stop promoting the two-state theory. Faced with Fu Kun-chi's attack, Su Sang-chung calmly responded, "Please do not exceed the scope of questioning. The future of the country cannot rely on the joy of certain individuals. We value every citizen, military personnel, legal entity, and all people in society. If one day they face such questioning, I wonder how much pressure they would feel." During the meeting, Taiwanese civil groups called on people to return to the Legislative Yuan to continue the Bluebird action. People gathered in front of the main stage on Jinan Road, listening to speeches, participating in forums, and the crowd extended all the way to Zhongshan South Road. Despite heavy rain in Taiwan that day, the people outside the Legislative Yuan remained, showing their steadfast mindset. Su Sang-chung expressed heartache at seeing the protesters outside while meeting in the Legislative Yuan, saying that if the Legislative Yuan could discuss well, it would avoid making the people suffer so much. This statement was also a response to Fu Kun-chi. News Report 5. Reuters reported that the U.S. House of Representatives China Task Force announced the establishment of a critical minerals policy working group on June 18, aimed at weakening China's dominance in the critical minerals supply chain. The working group is co-chaired by Republican Congressman Rob Wittman and Democratic Congressman David Kustoff. The China Task Force stated in its declaration that critical minerals are the foundation of all products, from basic consumer goods to advanced military technology. China controls the supply chain of critical minerals, and once there is a conflict between China and the U.S. will face a threat to its survival. The working group will formulate a package of investment, regulatory, and tax reform measures to reduce America's dependence on critical minerals from China. According to Bloomberg, Alan Estevez, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Commerce, will visit Japan, the Netherlands in July to pressure both countries to impose more restrictions on ASML and Tokyo Electron's activities in China, especially in equipment maintenance and repair. Alan, from the Strategic and International Studies Center, pointed out that Japan and the Netherlands are the main suppliers of chip equipment. Although there are restrictions on the export of chip equipment to China, there are no restrictions on equipment maintenance and repair, which is a key point in the technical control architecture. Bloomberg also pointed out that the combination of ASML and Tokyo Electron's equipment can produce high-bandwidth storage chips, which are an indispensable part of the artificial intelligence hardware ecosystem. Subsidiaries of Yangtze Memory Technologies, Wuhan Xinxin, Huawei, and Changxin Memory are all developing this high-bandwidth storage chip. The U.S. is trying to take measures at the source to control the development of artificial intelligence chips, thereby controlling the advancement of artificial intelligence technology. News Report 6. Voice of America reported that a U.S. congressional delegation met with Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, India, on June 19. The delegation consisted of 7 members of Congress, including former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chairman of the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs Gregory Meeks. Meeks presented the Dalai Lama with a copy of the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, expressing the American people's support for Tibetan self-determination. On June 12, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, which requires the U.S. government not to recognize Tibet as part of China and stipulates that the dispute between Tibet and China must be resolved peacefully through dialogue without preconditions, according to international law. After the meeting with the Dalai Lama, the delegation delivered speeches to hundreds of audience members. Meeks expressed hope that one day the Dalai Lama and his people could peacefully return to Tibet. He emphasized that China is trying to intervene in the Dalai Lama's reincarnation, but the United States will not allow such a thing to happen. Pelosi also stated that the Tibetan Policy and Support Act sends a message to the Chinese government: the situation has changed, and China needs to be prepared. The U.S. congressional delegation also visited the office of the Tibetan government in exile, further expressing support for the Tibetan government in exile. News Report 7. Two human rights organizations have released a research report showing that from 2009 to 2023, 3,652 out of 25,000 villages in Xinjiang have changed their names. Most of the villages have been renamed to names like happiness, unity, and harmony. This is one of the traditional methods used by the CCP to reconstruct culture in Xinjiang. Since the CCP came to power, changing place names has been an important strategy, including changes to city and street names. Many of the original village names had strong Uyghur cultural and Islamic influences. For example, some villages were named Hujia, Islamic scholar, Hanaik, Islamic architecture, and Buddha, Uyghur for palace. The two human rights organizations are Human Rights Watch in the United States and Uyghur Aid in Norway. Their research found that the peak period of renaming was from 2017 to 2019, and most of the renamed villages are located in the southern regions of Kashgar, Aksu, and Hotan in Xinjiang. According to statistics, 79 villages were renamed Happiness, 69 villages were renamed Unity, and 55 villages were renamed Harmony. Other common names include Friendship, Red Flag, Red Heart, and Advance. The research report pointed out that such renaming actions are widespread throughout the country, causing great distress to the lives of Uyghurs. Some Uyghurs who have been detained in re-education camps can't even find their own homes after being released. News Report 8. Reuters reported that the UK Maritime Trade Operations Organisation announced on June 18 that a Greek coal carrier, the Mentor, was attacked by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea and sank on June 14. The Mentor cargo ship flies the Liberian flag and is operated by a Greek company. The cargo ship was attacked by Houthi rebels on June 15, 67 nautical miles from the port of Hodeidah, Yemen, using a small boat loaded with explosives to hit the stern of the cargo ship, causing damage and flooding to the stern and loss of power. The crew abandoned the ship on June 14, and the cargo ship subsequently sank. This is the second cargo ship sunk by the Houthis. The first cargo ship was the British Rubamar, which was hit by a missile fired by Houthi rebels off the coast of Yemen on March 1. Previously, on June 10, Wu Xiaobo Channel reported that the Houthis failed to hit a U.S. aircraft carrier but had a serious impact on China's foreign trade. Earlier reports mistakenly claimed that the Houthis had hit a U.S. aircraft carrier, but it turned out to be fake news. The article pointed out that 60% of China's exports to the EU are transported through the Red Sea. In order to avoid attacks by the Houthis, Chinese cargo ships have to detour around the Cape of Good Hope in Africa, leading to delays, insufficient capacity, and higher freight rates. Since the beginning of this year, the China Export Container Index for the European route has surged from 1107 points on December 29 last year to 2,337 points on June 7 this year, an increase of 111%. The article also mentioned that small and medium-sized foreign trade companies in China are the most severely affected, especially seasonal exporters. Goods that cannot be sold in time can only be stored for sale next year, causing immense financial pressure. Some foreign trade companies choose to delay shipments or extend the turnover cycle of goods. In short, Chinese exporters are greatly affected. The situation in the Red Sea has the greatest impact on Chinese exporters, while the impact on other countries is relatively small. News Report 9. On June 19, the National Bureau of Statistics of China released the unemployment data for May. According to the statistics, these unemployment data do not include students in school, so there may be some inaccuracies. The data shows that the unemployment rate for the age group of 16 to 24 was 14.2%, a decrease of 0.5% from the previous month, showing a continuous decline for 2 months, indicating that the employment situation for young people is gradually improving. The unemployment rate for the age group of 25 to 29 was 6.6%, a decrease of 0.5% from the previous month. The unemployment rate for adults aged 35 to 59 was 4%, unchanged from the previous month. In addition, the National Bureau of Statistics also announced that the National Urban Survey unemployment rate in May was 5%, unchanged from the previous month. Among the 31 large and medium-sized cities, the urban unemployment rate was 4.9%, a decrease of 0.1% from the previous month. According to the data from the National Bureau of Statistics, China's unemployment situation is gradually improving. However, several recent events have challenged these statistics. First, according to reports from official Chinese media, the unemployment rate in China remains high, and the job market is competitive. College students have to pay for internships to increase their employment opportunities. Vocational intermediaries say that by paying a certain fee, you can get an internship opportunity, with fees ranging from 800 to 19,000. In addition, subway advertisements have become a new way for job seekers to find work. Resumes of job seekers have appeared on billboards in the Zhujiang New Town subway station in Guangzhou. Finally, on June 16, Suzhou City, Anhui Province, announced the list of civil servants recruited this year, including a PhD from Stanford University who applied for a civil servant position in a township government office under the city, demonstrating the diversity and challenges of today's job market. News Report 10. Recently, several serious criminal cases have occurred in various parts of China, attracting widespread attention. 1. Shanghai Metro Line 9 indiscriminate stabbing incident. Xinhua news agency reported that on the morning of June 19, an indiscriminate stabbing incident occurred at the Hechuan Road station on Shanghai Metro Line 9, resulting in 3 people being stabbed. Video footage from the scene shows a man stabbing people at the exit of the ticket gate. One man was injured in the abdomen and fell to the ground. 2 security guards confronted the man with a knife, eventually subduing him. The Shanghai Municipal Public Security Bureau Urban Rail Transit Detachment reported that the suspect's surname is Shen, male, 54 years old, and has been arrested by the police. The case is under further investigation. 2. Major criminal case in Hohhot, Inner Mongolia. China National Radio reported that on the early morning of June 18, a major criminal case occurred in Hohhot, Inner Mongolia, resulting in 5 deaths. The local police offered a reward of 30,000 yuan for the arrest of the suspect, Huo Wenchang. Huo Wenchang, 43 years old, is single. Villagers described him as an honest person, but he had long-term land disputes with his neighbors. After several unsuccessful negotiations, Huo Wenchang filed a lawsuit through legal means, but the court ruled against him. A few days ago, Huo Wenchang argued with his neighbors again, resulting in a fight and ultimately a tragedy. These cases reflect some deep-seated issues in society, including land disputes, legal justice, and public security, which need to be addressed and resolved by relevant departments. News Report 11. On June 18, the U.S. Department of Justice announced the successful crackdown of a drug trafficking group's money laundering operation with the assistance of China and Mexico. According to the indictment, the drug trafficking group involved made $50 million. The Sinaloa cartel in Mexico smuggled large quantities of fentanyl into the United States over the past 8 years, leading to violence and deaths. Chinese underground banks assisted the Sinaloa cartel in transferring the proceeds of crime from the United States to Mexico. The money laundering operation involved Chinese citizens transferring money to sellers' Chinese bank accounts in China, and then receiving equivalent US dollars in the United States to purchase real estate. The funds in the Chinese bank accounts were then used to purchase the chemicals needed to manufacture fentanyl, which were exported to the criminal groups in Mexico and ultimately flowed into the United States. In these cases, the U.S. Department of Justice has prosecuted 24 people, 22 of whom have been arrested. These individuals will be tried in Los Angeles in the coming weeks. According to U.S. Homeland Security Advisor Randall, China and Mexico have each arrested a suspect related to this case. Xinhua News Agency reported that on June 19, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security launched an investigation into and arrested Tong, who is suspected of money laundering in illegal forex trading, based on clues provided by the United States. Tong fled the United States after being charged by the United States last year. The Ministry of Public Security stated that this case is a successful example of anti-drug cooperation between China and the United States.